you've got another horror movie lined up. So what would you say is, a new tool in your acting toolkit, so to speak, that you can attribute to Scream that you are eager to apply to future horror films?
I think what I learned most in Scream, and it was more in the behind the scenes camaraderie aspect of it, I learned how fun it is to make a scary movie. Sometimes when you're dealing with material that's so dark and so heavy and so traumatic as an actor, and I used to do this all the time, I would feel like I have to be in that headspace to deliver. And so I would literally just isolate myself on set and go away, and I wouldn't talk to anyone. And I would, from the moment I woke up in the morning, if I had a very emotional scene or a very exhausting scene and ¿cómo se dice? Ajetreada. I don't know the English word, but something that requires a lot of me emotionally, I would just shut down because I thought that I had to save energy to be able to deliver that. And it made me not have fun sometimes, because you're in that awful headspace for a really long time when you don't have to be. And I learned in Scream to trust myself that I can get to the places that I need to get to without having to be serious and sad and in that headspace behind the scenes. And I took that when I finished shooting Bed Rest, which comes out in July. And it was such a challenge for me to do that role. Such a contained thriller, but very reliant on my character's journey and my point of view. So it's the camera always in my face, basically. And it could have been a lot. I could have been destroyed after that movie. And I was very exhausted, obviously, because it was a lot. But I also had a lot of fun. And that's something that I took from Scream.
What would you say is the biggest difference between, your filmmaking and storytelling goals now compared to when we last spoke for Ladies' Night in January of 2022?
I feel like in the last year, I did have a big perspective shift. So from when Scream came out to Scream, 2022 in January, then I didn't work until we started shooting Scream in June. So I was busy. I was doing stuff and I was traveling back and forth and I was doing promo and I went to Europe and visited my sister. So I was moving, but it wasn't working. And there's a part of me that gets really sad when I'm not working. So it was a hard half of the year for me. And I was so desperate to work. And then I did Scream and then I did the collaboration. And then I just wrapped this other indie movie that I did called Your Monster that it hasn't even been announced yet, but I'm giving you the scoop. But it's this incredible indie movie that was so satisfying to me. And I've realized how smaller films are more creatively satisfying in a way because you get a lot more say and it becomes it's like a real team effort. It's basically everyone is kind of sacrificing a lot to do this very low budget thing and make it look good and make it the best that it can be and having the highest hopes for something, knowing that you don't have the huge back of a studio. I think it makes you hungrier. And I think in the last year I had a mentality of I need to do something big to make a splash and to make a name for myself so that I can greenlight projects, because it's a thing in this industry where you're never a big enough name unless you're one of the top 10 famous people in the world. You're never big enough. And it's really what else do I have to do? But then I was when I did collaboration and Your Monster that are smaller films, it was so wonderful and it was so cathartic and I felt like I did the best work that I've ever done. And I was this is actually what I want to do. I just want to do projects that speak to my soul and that stretch me. And it doesn't matter what size they are, because I'm meeting like incredibly talented creatives that are like up and coming and that I know are going to be huge, and I get to like be with them when they start out. And I think it's, I don't know, like I want to do that now. I'm like focused on that. I'm like finding like smaller movies that have roles that are really challenging for me, and keep doing what I've been doing so far, which I think is doing like very different kinds of roles all the time. Not letting anyone put me in a box, just constantly, surprising people with the kinds of things I do.
So I wanted to kick off the meat of our conversation by repeating a question that I asked you last time, because like I said at the top of the show, it's just incredible how much you've accomplished since our last conversation. So since our last ladies' night in March of 2023, can you tell me a new career goal that's emerged, something that was sparked by something unexpected that you've experienced over the last year?
Ooh, okay, March of 2023. So like almost exactly a year ago.
March of 2023, and then before it was January of 2022. And
wow.
I liked your answer to this question last time because it was heavily tied to your monster.
Okay. So from March of last year to this year, I think my perspective on what I'm here to do and what I'm here to do like on earth has changed. Like spiritually I've had like an awakening in the last year. And obviously I love acting and I want to continue to act, but the purpose of my art is now more intentional because I want to help make the world better in any way that I can. And so I've found that goes with trying to make the industry better and safer and gentler and nicer for people. And that will then become, there will be ripples of that. And I think I'm just a lot more aware of the kind of people that I want to work with, the kind of people that I don't, the kinds of stories that I want to tell that will have that will mean something to people, that are maybe trying to showcase the world that we can have as a society, like more aspirational stuff and yeah, it's always been important to me to work with good people, but I think now more than ever, I'm like, I just want to work with like-minded and like-hearted people that share values and that want to make movies and tell stories that are actually contributing something meaningful.